Greetings, fellow lunar astronauts. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to The Crust. Episode 2, Surviving the Darkest Days on the Moon. So, it does want me to do the Regolith refinery. I'm a genius. Well, or I've played this before. So the Regolith refinery takes raw Regolith and refines it into an oxide. So this thing is producing only just Regolith. It's just mining up Regolith from the ground, rather than the mining bots that were actually producing oxides manually. So we need to then process the Regolith into an oxide. And behind that, there is a 5 researches. I queued up conveyors because I can predict the future. So what's ending up happening right now is that these here are filling up with Regolith that then needs to be manually hauled by robots. So what I can do is I can fire the mining robots that were on the vein extraction, because we don't really need them anymore. We have extractors doing that work, and I'll just expand our footprint a little bit. I'll just give us a little bit more space in every direction. Now, some of the ores, or some of the Regolith here isn't Regolith, it's rare elements, which we don't have the technology to mine just yet. So I'm not going to be able to mine just anywhere I want. I am going to be restricted to Regolith only at the moment.
Research complete.
Director, place the Regolith refineries similarly to optimize future production.
So it's showing me how it wants me to produce the Regolith refineries, so let's go ahead and do that. So if we go to the mining and refining, the Regolith refiner. So the way this works, if you want to look at it, the Regolith comes in the top right, and the iron oxide comes in the bottom left, and then slag as a as like a dumped output. So put one there, and put one here.
The single Regolith refinery extracts the necessary oxides from the Regolith by thermal treatment. The process leaves slag that can also be used in production.
And he's saying that it produces a bunch of slag, and I'm using slag to turn it into smart concrete. Which means, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get another pressing module. I'm going to actually get rid of this power pole, and then get a pressing module here. And at some point, I'll probably like redesign all the infrastructure that I started with to make it a little bit more laid out better. Okay, the refinery is researched, and I'm going to be researching Conveyor Mark 1. And let's prioritize this Regolith refinery. In the Regolith refinery, I did this without actually saying anything. You select what kind of recipe you want. So we're going to want this one to be iron oxide, because the iron refiner is up here, or the iron extractor rather, and then this one is silicon, because the silicon extractor is up there. I think I have a lot of building tasks queued up at the moment, so I'm reducing my drone miners to 0 so that I have more hauler and worker bots. Although, I think we have a lack of smart concrete. That's really my bottleneck at the moment. And that means we just need to bring more Regolith to the bulk research storage to press it into concrete. Because I don't believe there's any pallets of concrete up here. No, there's not. Alright, the research for conveyor belts is done. Let's go ahead and... At the moment, we only make industrial technology. So we'll do a geophysical prospecting. An ore scanner, if you will. Alright, I did just research conveyor belts. I'm getting a little bit ahead of the tutorial. But I think that's probably fine in this case. So B, as in Bravo, is the conveyor belt tool. And I'm going to create conveyor belts with my oodles and piles of money to try to make this so that it does not require bot input. So that the bots are not needed to physically move the resources, because that ain't really efficient at all. Okay, just to go over what I did, the iron extractor feeds to an iron regolith refinery, which feeds to the iron smelting furnace, and the silicon is laid out the same way. And then the slag comes out the side here, feeding to the bulk goods. Oh, nope, that's the wrong direction. Drop that. Yes, this whole thing is the wrong direction. Let me redo that. Then the slag comes out. No, not the... The slag comes out and feeds to... Actually, no, I don't want the slag feeding to that. Never mind. We'll just leave the slag building up in the regolith refineries at the moment, because we're processing regolith here, not slag. So here we go. You can see the resources on the conveyors coming and feeding the refinery so that I'm freeing up my robots to do robot stuff and not refining stuff. All right, additionally, I think it would be a good idea to have a simple storage. So I'm going to put a simple storage here. I'm going to put a simple storage here. And I'm going to put a simple storage here. And these simple storages are going to contain the silicon, the oh, that's not what I meant to build, the iron, and the smart concrete. So that they get stored in boxes for whatever future use. But holy hell, I cannot get this thing built. Alright, what's happening here is batteries can output a certain amount of power. So my batteries can only output enough power for some of my buildings, not all of my buildings. If I turn off the drone reconfiguration module, it's still not enough power to get the second pressing module up. The other thing that I could do in this case is build more batteries so that they have more... They can power more things up as they discharge. And we're just past like the midnight of the night, if you will. So we're heading into a day cycle soon. Oh yes, there is this pole to be built too. That's probably it.
Research complete.
Alright, research for... What did we just get? The ore scanner just got done. I still have daily income, so let's research components factory and rolling mill. I'm just queuing up random things that require only engineering research so that we don't waste the points. There is internal storage here, so the smelting furnace, for instance, can hold 32 steel, as can the silicon furnace, but then it gets loaded onto belts. You can see the internal storage here, loaded onto belts, and eventually onto the single resource storages. The other thing is that what's happening here is the resources that I wanted to build with are being on this belt, so I can just drop the resources from the belt, allowing us access to the smart concrete that we needed to finish the projects.
The single Regolith refinery is a mono-refinery that can only produce one type of oxide at a time. Be sure to select the recipes for iron and silicon oxide to start production.
Objective achieved.
Okay, so I have a lot more research income, 60, 260. Director, conveyor belt will speed up production.
You heard him, Director. Now we have a steel production chain, but we can increase its efficiency by connecting the modules with conveyor belts. It will reduce the load for drones and speed up production. Exactly what we need right now.
I've already done that.
Use
And
the
then-
conveyor tool and connect the extractor to the refinery and smelting furnace. This way, the resource-rich regolith will go into the refinery without needing to engage drones. Optimization at its best.
Okay, I'm going to queue up some additional research
Crust's tasks require
before they continue talking, because I'm wasting research points. So let's do a landing platform. And let's do living quarters.
significant resource investment, which means we need to seriously expand our manufacturing capabilities. Let's start producing components. We need titanium to manufacture parts. Find titanium deposits among the regolith using an ore detector to seriously expand our manufacturing capabilities. Let's start producing components.
So it wants me to prospect for titanium. The thing is, ore scanning requires a lot of power, and I don't have a lot of power. So this isn't something I'm going to do until the next day cycle, because otherwise our base runs out of power. And to that end, I am going to go so far as to shut down the concrete pressing, just to save a little bit of power as well. I would like to take some of the resources that I've made so far and expand our charging power grid so that I have less worry about power shortages once the sun comes up.
You can't build here.
Oops. I'll turn on one of the... Oh boy, I hope we have enough power. Turn one of the smart concrete on so that we can finish some of the current building projects. And then I have a lot of drones that are currently idle. We need to turn this back on and mine up some regular regolith for the concrete pressing. What are the dark buildings above my solar collectors? Broken. The tutorial or the intro cinematic was a giant meteorite strike that destroyed everything on Moon's surface. So these are just completely broken down, salvageable ruins. Basically, Moon got pwned, and that's what it looks like now.
Research complete.
All right, we researched living quarters. I'm just queuing up a bunch of the basic researches here arbitrarily. I'm not like trying to plan for the future. I just don't want to waste the research points, primarily. Cheers. Now, I am supposed to be building a components factory next, so taking a look here, that is in fact the next thing I have queued up. Perfect. So the current goal is to find titanium. So what we want to do is we want to be building an ore scanner or an ore detector. And I'll build it right here. But I'm not going to use it until we actually have some power. Because, oh, here comes the sun. Swank. That should help. And as you can see, I did like double the amount of power production and storage I had going into the first night. Had I not done that, I would have probably run into some problems. Alright, I want to move one of these power poles, so this is going to be, oops, a little disruptive for a moment, which is why I have it paused. Because, not that they're particularly effective, but I'm going to get another pressing module here as well. So taking a look at the resources that we know about so far, it's just iron and silicon. We haven't actually scanned anything else. So I'm definitely eager to get this thing up and running, which requires a little bit of silicon delivered for its construction. Should be just a second now. And up on the surface, oh, you know what I can do? Let's prioritize this.
Director, our operation requires a colossal amount of funds. The budget is stretched to its limits, and there are no new investments in sight. We need to come up with something urgently.
Okay. So our funds are up here, 70K.
I have a solution to our problems, Director. We can establish trade with other organizations on the moon. This way, surplus resources are converted into money, which we currently lack. To send resources, we need a landing platform. And to access the market, we need to research the online market.
This is why you get paid the big bucks, Ledger. Great idea. Director, let's get started immediately. Research and construction will take some time.
So build a landing platform and gain access to the market. So the landing platform allows you to send things back to Earth and research to the market. So let's take a look at the research tree. Landing platform is here. I'm going to raise the priority. And then access to the tender system is here after the license for the tender system. So I'm going to raise that priority as well. I was kind of already working on that.
Don't forget to connect it to the network. The ore detector uses battery power to run the scans. The further the scanning area is, the more power it requires. Select the finished ore detector and scan the regolith around it. You need to find the nearest deposits to install extractors on them. Important, using the detector consumes battery charge. The larger the scanning area, the more battery charge is consumed. Remember this, and don't leave your base without electricity.
Alright, so the ore scanner is really power hungry, which is why I was significantly expanding our solar power grid, because I knew that we would need a whole lot of power to power up that monster. And that's exactly why I am continuing to expand the grid. Now, you can't expand infinitely. You run into a problem called CPU capacity later on. I'll go into that once it becomes more relevant. It's not relevant at the moment because I'm not near the max. Alright, let's do our first ore scan. And the way this works is the further out you go, like this will consume 100,000 power, which I only have 400,000 power in store, whereas this consumes only 40k, and I'll scan this swath.
Objective achieved.
And we just found titanium. Completely by chance. I gained, and yes, this is not in English, I gained some extra research for that, having completed that objective.
Great job. Now build a components factory and supply with titanium and steel. I'm sure, Director, this will be an easy task for you.
Okay. So the first thing we want to do is to go to the excavation mode, and let's... let me cancel that. Let's excavate here towards the iron.
Director, I consider it my duty to remind you that lunar research is divided into 3 main fields: fundamental, engineering, and social. Each laboratory is capable of conducting independent research, but studying certain technologies may require the cooperation of multiple fields. All available research is grouped into 3 main directions: fundamental, engineering, and social. Fundamental research is responsible for logistics and communication with other organizations, as well as drone improvements. Engineering research helps develop mining and production. Social research ensures that colonists at the base live and work comfortably. Some research requires multiple types of science points at once. You can assign tasks in different sections, and then the research plan will be conducted in parallel. The speed of research depends on your science points income. You can always rearrange your research to actualize the priorities for your current goals.
Director, here's the latest news regarding contracts. To resume shipments to Earth, we'll need to restore communication and significantly expand production. If we manage this in the near term, I'll negotiate an extremely lucrative contract with the aerospace company FASM. They've lost their supplier and are willing to pay generously for an urgent order. I'm still looking into the matter, but be prepared to devote all resources to this effort if you want to maximize the benefits. I'll return as soon as new information becomes available.
Okay, so we have finished the license for the tender system. We are currently working on components factory and landing platform, and also online market, which is being raised in priority. Cheers. The other thing, here is an unknown vein. Let's just scan that at like minimum power. It's water. High quality H2O. And this is water as well. Alright, we are missing silicon for the solar panels. It would be good to get a second silicon processor up, so I'm gonna scan this way, look for some silica. Nothing. Alright, let's scan this way. And obviously breaking down your ore scanner and building it close to the regolith edge is like a really efficient way to get the most bang for your buck out of the power consumption it requires. More titanium. Alright. And this is the last scan before I break this ore detector down and move it. Alright, time to kill it. Z as in zebra, or is the recycle tool. Warning. When you recycle something, as far as I am aware, there is no undo. So if you recycle something important, you're stuck with it. It's a game mechanic I am not enthused by. So, research to the landing platform is done. Let's go ahead and get automatic repair. Automatic repair will queue up broken things to be automatically fixed rather than me manually doing it, which is like just a nuisance. So obviously let's get that soon. All right, taking a look at our mining. We are pretty close to the titanium node, and then we'll be able to extract it, regolith refine it, smelt it, and then potentially roll it into plates. All right, we are in the dark time now. I have not a lot of power. It is a bit concerning. So I am gonna shutter my pressing modules.
Research complete.
We just got the components factory, so we'll be researching the rolling mill next. I may have done too many ore scans when the ore scanner was up. But oh well. And then here are the power poles for the titanium network, which I might wait until next dawn, because it's not like I really have the power to support that kind of infrastructure at the moment. Additionally, I have a lot of steel already. I'm just going to shut down the steel processing. That will stretch your power out a little bit more. And I'm going to start playing on 3-speed. So the next priority is to build a component factory and rolling mill. And Peddling Fire, thank you for the resub. And Shield as well. And Arkansas Smith, thank you, thank you. So the landing pad. If we go to the logistics, the landing pad we have the materials for. I would like the landing pad to be as close to the elevator as possible. Maybe I'll put it here. That's... I don't love that spot. I don't love any of the spots around here, to be honest. We can always move it later. I'll put it there. And the landing pad is half of what the stable income required.
Research complete.
Halfway there, but we still need a landing platform. The sooner we finish building it, the sooner we can make money.
Okay, we're wasting social research, so let's take a look at social. Let's get the extended trader license so that we have the ability to take on more contracts. That's a good thing to just dump science points into. And the other part of the stable income... Oh, this broke down. So we are researching the automatic repair, so I won't have to actually do this manually soon. And all of my mining drones are now unemployed. But what we could do is we can also open up the other titanium vein as well. Okay, yeah,
everything is ready for trading. To sell your surplus resources, go to the online market section of the control center.
So here's how to sell raw resources, which is not something I would typically do unless I was really pressed for cash. You go to the commerce center.
Now select market at the top of the screen.
Go to market.
You can not only sell missing resources, but also buy them. Since we are currently trying to restore our budget, go to the sell tab. If you select an available resource on the left side of the screen, you'll see the fluctuations and its cost on the right side. To send a resource for sale, select the appropriate option in the bottom right corner of the screen. Director, you should carefully monitor supply and demand. The more resources of a specific type you put on the market, the lower their price will be.
So, we've got, for instance, 34 smart concrete, and we can sell at 30 credits per concrete. If I hold left shift, as you can see, these standard cargo pods can haul away 3,000 tons of stuff on our landing pad. There's other types of landing pads that you gain access to later on. And it does cost funds to have a pod come down. So if I sold literally every last ounce of my concrete, steel, and silicon, I would only really make a profit of 327. It would barely pay for the trip. It's best to obviously fill a cargo pod. And I could sell off a whole bunch of like much more needed resources, but that would honestly be dumb. It would set me back horribly. So I'm not going to do that. But that's how you would go about selling resources. Additionally, well, soon we will gain access to the contract system, which is a way better way to exchange your resources for money and science. Well, just because we don't really have the power for it, we can at least set up an extractor here. And then I will do the same in the other titanium zone. And then the extractor will lead to a Regolith refinery, which will then eventually lead to a smelter. And we're still, let's go straight to the titanium and then expand it outwards. So I don't know if I have all the materials for this, but we'll see. I can always
Research complete.
temporarily fire on my production facilities. All right, we got automatic repair. Let's queue up something else in that requires fundamental research. So, drones mining faster or excavating faster, but that requires also engineering. Utility pole upgrade. Yeah, let's just have better utility poles that can hook up to more things. That's just a convenience. That'd be nice. So there's our titanium extractor. Obviously, it's not powered on. I can wire it on, but I want it off. And I'll do the same for the Regolith refinery. I'll wire it up, but keep it off for now. And then over here, we're doing the same type of extractor. Once the zone is excavated enough, there we go. Extractor to Regolith refiner. And then eventually to a smelter. And we're about halfway through midnight. So soon we'll be able to actually fire these things back up. Alright, seems like I'm out of smart concrete, so let's go and turn one of the let's turn all the concrete pressers back on for now. Just to be able to build this infrastructure. It'd be really convenient to have this up and ready to go. Alright, then this will lead to a smelting furnace. And let's put another smelting furnace in here. And then these smelting furnaces can then go to a research storage where I store the titanium. And then I can turn some of that titanium into titanium plates. Not all your titanium should probably turn into titanium plates, however, because regular titanium ingots are a resource you're going to want as well. And here's an example of auto repair. I didn't actually have to manually intervene. It broke down, but now it's fixed. Thank you, automatic repairs. All right, we've got power for about 6 days. Should be fine. Sunrise will be by then. All right, so this box is going to be for titanium bars or ingots. All right, my next mining will be here, which is going to be my rolling mill. So there's multiple things to do with the titanium. If we go to the production here, a components factory is titanium plus steel equals components. So I need to build a components factory. And then a rolling mill is just plain old titanium into titanium plates. Both are important resources to build. So the titanium that gets pulled into this simple resource storage some will stay bars, some will become components, and some will become plates. Not that I have the power for it, but I can also build some ore detectors. I'm not going to necessarily power them up just yet, but at least I can place their footprints down to go about looking for some additional resources, do some additional scanning.
Research complete.
Okay, we got the rolling mill research, which is an engineering research, so I need to use up orange. Let's see. Making Regolith refineries more efficient? Yeah, that works for me. And here comes the sun. On our power-starved colony. So we went down to about 12%. And then once we start to get into the positive here, yeah, there we go. Then I can start firing up our iron processing. And then likewise, fire up the titanium processing. I'll probably need to significantly expand our power grid to accommodate all of this new infrastructure, but that's fine. So topside, let's add some more batteries or more solar. There we go. And then once we get close to power max, I'll also want to expand batteries. And let's go ahead and make the single resource storage a high priority, because I want to start amassing titanium. Prioritizing against all of the solar power panels. All these no connections are intentional. They're the ore scanners that I don't need on right now, so I'm keeping them off on purpose. And there we go. We are starting to get titanium bars, or ingots, or rods, or whatever. Okay, mining drills. You are gonna temporarily be not miner drills, because I have a lot of building projects, and I'd rather have more building bots. Charging up them batteries. I am going to change the conveyor path for the iron a little bit. So this path is going to, I think what I'm going to do is turn off the extractor for a moment so I don't have a bunch of like debris on the ground while I break this down. And I want to move the conveyor a little bit to the northwest to not block conveyors that are potentially coming out here. Eventually, sometime down the line, I might do like a true full reorganization, but I'm not going to do that until these sort of basic tutorial stuff is done. So conveyor path, more like this, which won't necessarily be in my way. Oh, not like that. Now, stop doing that weird turn. No. I want it there. There we go. Okay. Power's looking pretty good. And as I said, as our power grid got healthier, oops, I would want to expand batteries so that I don't really have to shut things down at night. Because that's not very efficient. Thank you for tuning in to The Crust, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow space miners.